And now for something completely different.
You can still sneak around. You can. Right, baby.
Wait, where's this big?
No, just leave it. Just leave it. Baby. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Oh!
How can I sip that dog?
Well done. Smart cookie.
Wow, Dad.
Let's see it again in super slow motion.
I never meant to be so bad to you. One thing I said that I would never do. A look from you and I would fall from grace, and that would wipe the smile right from my face. Do you remember when we used to dance, and incidents arose from circumstance? One thing led to another, we were young, and we would string together songs unsung. It was the heat of the moment, telling me what my heart said. The heat of the moment, showed in your eyes.
So, yeah. Hi guys. If you couldn't tell, we're reviewing Heat. So I'm just gonna do this whole recap thing really fast, because after knowing that it's Heat, and after that introduction, you guys already know what the connection is. It wasn't Dustin Hoffman, it wasn't Dick Van Dyke, it wasn't Warren Beatty, it wasn't Cole Meany, it was Al Pacino. And oh my god, is that Tony? Tony, are you back?
Oh, sorry. Hi! Yes, I am back. I apologize for not being here for the Dick Tracy one, but I was under the weather and just couldn't make it. But I'm here to annoy you once again. You're welcome.
What? What? I'm sorry, could someone whose ears aren't bleeding please respond to Tony?
Oh!
You hired him, he's your problem.
Yeah, but you're my friend, so... In all seriousness, good to be back, guys.
Okay.
No, wait, we're not done with Tony yet. Tony skipped out last week. I say he cannot join this show until we get a 150-page essay on Dick Tracy.
Why?
Because we had to suffer, so you should too.
What?
And
The hell version did you watch?
Since it wasn't a bad movie, you actually have to do a 150-page essay solely on the costumes.
Okay, if I did if I wrote 150 pages, my arm would be more sore than the last time Susie came to CLC. So,
I'm going to let the three of you engage in that little war.
I will say this: I regret not being able to watch Dick Tracy. I've heard craptastic things about it. Madonna's cleavage was the main star from what I've seen in trailers. I'm kind of iffy about how they took the characters so literally in terms of like how they are in the comics and how they are, but you know.
Trust me, it worked out a lot better in production than it did in the trailer. But anyway, we will move on from this, and it is time for this week's movie, Heat, which several of us have not seen before. So we're going to start off with one of those people. Tony, you get to review first.
Yay! Go. Okay, I will say that this is the one thing I do love about being a part of this. I either get to A, watch movies I've never heard of, or B, watch movies that, you know, I have heard of, but just never sat down to do it. Heat falls in the category of movies I've never heard of before this. I will tell you straight up, right off the bat, this is the epitome of a 90s film. It is like you look up 90s movie in the dictionary, there is Heat. First off, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. What more could you want? This is also the only other movie I've seen with Val Kilmer in it. The only other one I saw with Val Kilmer was Batman. I'm sorry, Val Kilmer's Batman was just fucking terrible. Dispute me if you want, I care not. Everybody talks about Heat with, you know, they talk about like ooh, it's Al Pacino, ooh, it's Robert De Niro. You know who I was surprised was in here? Henry Rollins. Okay? Okay, Henry Rollins, I'm a big fan of Henry Rollins. He has a bit part. You know, it's not like he, you know, has a very large role in anything. But it's just the fact that he's in there. You got Danny Trejo. I paid more attention to, like, the minor characters. You know, like Danny Trejo, Henry Rollins. I mean, it's amazing. And Jeremy Piven, which I guess did Entourage, and that's really all I've ever heard of him doing. And I've never seen Entourage, so I can't really comment on Entourage, now can I? Basically, this is a really good crime drama. And it centers around these group of guys getting ready to pull off one last heist before they go their separate ways. And the whole time, the authorities are getting ever closer to them. And I took away 3 things from this movie. 1, Al Pacino was fucking psychotic in any role he does. It doesn't matter if he's Scarface or if he's playing a cop. They're different, but he's still got that psychotic vibe about him. Like, at any minute, this guy could just go nuts. And I love that shit. 2, Robert De Niro's character. You just look at Robert De Niro then, and you look at him now. I mean, he went from doing this to Meet the Fockers. How does that happen? I mean, he was a badass in his time, and now look at him. But he is what would now be considered the stereotypical bad guy with a heart of gold. They did a really good job, I thought, of making you sympathize with his character, because there are certain parts where you can see in his reactions or his facial expressions that all he wants to do is just go away and live in peace without having to do all this shit. And, you know, it's really telling in some very key scenes where he meets his new lady friend. And after a night of glorious passion, he just stares at her, and, you know, you get the impression that, you know, he would like nothing more than to just stay in that moment with her. And it's really, really touching, you know, and that was one of the key scenes for me, one that I really took away from it, was just scenes like that. And also the dialogue between De Niro and Pacino, you could tell that these 2 characters had kind of like a mutual respect for each other, and they even said, I respect what you do, but if I see you, I'll do what I have to do. You know, and it's just things like that, yeah, you know, it just kind of sends chills down your spine a bit. And you got the Val Kilmer character, who, the thing that I really took away from him was the fact that despite all of these jobs that he's done, you know, he's squandered it all away on gambling, and his wife's, you know, faithful. And Natalie Portman is also in this. That was interesting. I did not expect to see a very young Natalie Portman. She very much has some daddy issues in this movie, which is understandable, given what's going on in the movie. And what happens to her, I don't know if I want to say anything about it or not, about what happens to her toward the end, but things are not well with her. Her dad is constantly saying stuff like, I'll be here to pick you up, and he doesn't show up, and stuff like that. It's just heartbreaking. But ending could not have been more 90s. It was just an amazing, I want to say almost a pre-Michael Bay type ending. You know, it was like lots of shooting, lots of carnage. It was just amazing. Would I watch it again? To be honest, I really don't know. First off, the thing's almost 3 hours long, so there's that. Second of all, movies like that, at least in my experience, I can only watch movies like that like once or I gotta be in a certain mood to watch movies like this. But it is still a great movie. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. At least give it a chance.
Alright, thank you very much, Tony. Always good to see your opinion. Even though I can't see it, I can actually hear it when I'm awake. Alright, Elsie, you're up next. What did you think?
Well, tonight we looked at 1995 Heat, with a runtime of 170 minutes. Yes, that's right, people. 170 minutes. No, that's not the director's cut. That is the actual film length. Almost 3 hours, and it doesn't feel like it. It does not feel like it at all. It's very slow in the beginning, and it starts building and building to this big, huge, fast-paced, action-packed climax, and it works perfect. I honestly couldn't see this film being trimmed down in any way. I mean, yes, everyone's gonna go, oh my god, it's started so slow, it's started so slow. That's what a film like this has to do. It has to establish many characters, and holy shit, there's a lot of them. And the other thing about it is, there is literally almost nobody that worked on this film that wasn't an established actor or eventually went on to become an established actor. I mean, of course, we had the two icons of drama and cinema, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, of Val Kilmer on the coattails, actually not even the coattails, at the same time he was doing Batman. We had a John Voight, and Ashley Judd, a young Danny Trejo, who I believe was just coming off Desperado at the time, Henry Rollins, which was very new to the film industry, a legend in the underground music scene, but this was only his 5th film. A small role, but very important role. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. But this was definitely an action-packed film, and it was one of those films that truly put its blockbuster budget on the screen for everyone's enjoyment. This film was made for $60 million, estimated, and grossed in the U.S. $67,400,000. I mean, it made money in the United States. It made a good little chunk of change in the United States. When you get into the foreign markets, it almost tripled its freaking money. Not to mention rentals and freaking VHS and DVD sales. But overall, it's a great little film. But the most important thing is, this was the first fucking time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro actually worked in a film together where they had scenes. Yes, I know all these guys on the little typewriters right now are going, oh, they were in Godfather 2 together. Yes, they were both part of the film, but they never worked in a scene together. This was the first time these two icons of cinema finally met, facing each other in a scene. And it is beautiful when it happens. The buildup of the scenes when Al Pacino's character, Lieutenant Hanna, hits the lights and he gets behind De Niro's character Neil's car and pulls him over, and he gets out and he walks around. You see Al Pacino's character pulling out his gun, and you see Robert De Niro's character stashing his gun under his leg, and they just see eye to eye. It's literally movie history. And I know a lot of younger people are going, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? These two were the titans of the time. These guys were basically the kings of drama in the box office. Either one of these guys' name attached to a film could bring in floods of people. Having them both together, it was a mind-blowing experience. It's like Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff meeting in The Black Cat. I mean, it has that kind of like, holy crap, I can't believe these two people are together. But enough of me ranting and going on about the film. It is time for Elsie's Fun Facts of the Night. And the funny part about it is, as much as a huge film this was, there's not a lot of facts. that doesn't just constantly revolve around the experience filming that Robert De Niro and Al Pacino had together. But in some of the funner facts that I did find, in preparation of the dinner scenes, and I'm not talking about the epic one between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, I'm talking about the ones where the cops were having dinner with their family and the criminals were having dinner with their family. And it was showing these guys interacting with each other. Very trivial scene for most people, but very important to the story. The director, Michael Mann, yes, that's his real name, actually went out and got real police officers and actual criminals to go and have dinner with the cast of the film in separate dining rooms, so the actors can get the feeling of what it was like being around these people in their own kind of social environment, how they talked to each other, how they interacted, how their body motions were. And that just shows just beautiful, beautiful planning by Michael Mann for this film, and getting all those little tiny little details that nobody noticed on the screen. And little details like that nobody noticed, but made the performances so much better. Other little trivia facts are Robert De Niro's character was said to spend time in Fulton County Prison, and did a couple of rotations through some of the more severe maximum penitentiaries. A little nod to that 7 years that he spent in those prisons, you'll notice that Robert De Niro's collar is always hard starched, the same way that a prisoner's uniform would be. Plus, Michael Mann's paying attention to those great little details, those epic little details that nobody would notice. He actually went as far as to actually bring in real military onto the set the days that they shot the bank robbery. Well, more importantly, the aftermath of the bank robbery, when the big action-packed shootout happens, just to make sure that all the characters were actually firing their guns properly, and to really give a feeling of what a real battle in the streets would have. But they didn't. Michael Mann didn't just do that. He also had all the cast to go to a high-tense military training procedure, so they all learned how to handle and use the high-caliber weapons that were used in the shootouts. And just as a little fun little trivia, this is an Al Pacino film and a Robert De Niro film. The word fuck is used exactly 52 times, mostly by Al Pacino. That was LC's Fun Facts of the Night. Back to you, Miguel.
Thank you very much for your ever insightful whatever it is you do, Elsie. Susie, why don't you bring some sanity back into the proceedings?
Okay, I'll try, but since there's no hint of sanity in anything I ever do, that's kind of gonna be hard. But let me give it a try. Right, so as this seems to be a testosterone-filled episode, and I appear to be the only one with breasts as far as I've checked, let me give you my take on Heat. Now, before I do start, yes, this is a blockbuster film. And this is also the kind of movie that I grew up with. The high crime drama filled, action-packed movies. I love these kind of films growing up. I loved them. I am a Die Hard girl, Lethal Weapon girl. I freaking love these kind of films. This is the kind of film, when I think of a blockbuster film, it's this kind of film. Funnily enough, I've never seen Heat until today. A lot of people will be shouting at me in text form, but yeah, I don't know why I've never seen this film. Probably, for one reason I can think of, because it was out the same year as a couple of other films that got into my head. Actually, on this opening weekend, Heat was number 3 at the box office, behind Jumanji and Toy Story, so I was kind of preoccupied with those two, you know? But anyway, Heat, with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer. This is right up my alley. I didn't think so to begin with. At the beginning, yes, and I will be one of those people that say, it started off slow. In my opinion, it did, but to be fair, it had to. to build up the drama, to build up the tension, to build up the fucking amazing ending that I'm not going to give away just now, but oh dear God. Yes. So it's one of these typical crime dramas, and to me, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, as you can really tell it is a 90s film. There's just so many things in this movie that kind of makes it a little dated, but not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, there's things that stick out. One stupid thing to me was that Tone Loc made a cameo in it. Like, Tone Loc is the epitome, to anybody who knows who this guy is, of 90s films. What more do I have to say about that? And Val Kilmer with a ponytail. 90s! Anyway. Yeah, so basically the story is that Robert De Niro is a criminal and is going around with his gang and creating heists and things. And as Tony said, it's just that basically on their last heist before they all go off and do their own thing. And Al Pacino is the cop who's chasing after him. It's kind of like a cat-mouse story with them going after each other. But it is really cool seeing those two finally doing scenes together in the film. Like the other guy said, they are the powerhouse of when you think of the top actors that you've grown up with. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are up there with the top actors of our generation growing up. It's like when you think of top actors, you think of those two. And there's not a lot of films where you actually think of them together doing scenes. Like people will say, they were in The Godfather, whatever number it was, but they don't do scenes together. When those two do scenes together, I think most geeks' brains explode. There's not a lot you can say about that. But there are a lot of things to love about this film. The intelligence of the script and the dialogue is... I love movies like this that make you think. Not just in visual style, but in the intellectual style of how the dialogue is written for each character. If it's intelligently written, I get drawn in. I just feel so drawn to those kind of films that allow you to use your brain and not just sit there and watch a whole lot of crap going on for an hour and a half and you think, what was that? I love films like this. And also the chemistry that is built between all of these actors together. Even before Al Pacino and Robert De Niro get into their scene together, there's this weird chemistry that's built up between them beforehand, and you just, the minute they sit down together, it's like they've been lifelong friends. It's weird, but it's a silly thing to draw up on for one of the things I liked about it, but that is, I love their chemistry before they've even done a scene together. It's very strange, but yeah, there's not really a lot you can really criticize about this film, apart from the blatantly obvious green screen at one point when Robert De Niro is at his, before he had a relationship with this woman Edie's apartment. There's just a point where they're just looking at each other, and then you look at the background and it's just so blatantly obviously a green screen. That's the only thing I could pick up on. Everything else I thought was really, really, really good. The music, it downplayed for a lot of it, but at the points where you needed it to build up and create that tense dramatic point, oh, it worked. The side characters, well, Val Kilmer could steal the show at times. And there's not really a lot I can comment on him as well. He was just really good as a kind of side character for Robert De Niro in the gang. It was really well played. Hank Azaria was a nice little cameo in there as well. Ashley Judd, I love that woman. She's fantastic. And just in general, it's kind of the epitome of a 90s film, of a 90s action crime drama. I'm very glad that I saw it, and I think it will make a nice welcome addition to my DVD collection for the future. And that's my female take on Heat. That sounds very dirty saying that, but I'll pass it back to Mikkel 5.
Thank you, as always, Susie, for your ever insightful opinion? Is that what that was? Anyway, it's now my turn. And I am holding out my vowels for some reason. And I need to stop. Like Susie, I had never actually seen Heat before this. I had heard things about it. I've been seeing it on list after list after list after list after list in regards to great movie shootouts. So I was actually rather excited to sit down and see this. Even though when I saw the runtime of 2 hours and 55 minutes, I got a touch nervous. Now granted, I am not a pansy like these three. I've sat through Lawrence of Arabia, I've sat through Ben-Hur. Both of those movies are 4 hours. You know what, I can handle long movies. I can handle 3 hours. That doesn't mean that I thought that it necessarily needed to be 3 hours, but it was not an intimidating factor. Hell, I own all 3 Lord of the Rings special editions and would not watch them any other way, and those are about, what, 8 hours of runtime apiece? I can handle long films, and, I mean, Elsie said it best, you do not feel the length in this at all. Yes, I mean, right off the get-go, you get hooked in with a heist. And then, yes, the first, say, hour and a half, the first half of the movie is a lot of development. It's a lot of time spent very quietly with the characters. It's a lot of time spent developing the storyline and the plot. But the thing is, all of that comes back, and all of it pays off when you hit that last third. Because that last hour goes like that. It's gone before you even know it. Now, everyone has, deservingly so, talked about De Niro and Pacino and the way they play off each other, which is excellent as the usual for both of them. And I really like the fact that as the plot wove along and the subplots came into it, you saw that as much as De Niro and Pacino were similar characters, they were also almost diametrically opposed characters. They were very much like opposite poles on a magnet. And instead of repelling each other, they were somewhat attracted to each other because of a certain amount of understanding that comes with meeting someone who's as single-mindedly driven as you are. So to watch that play out for me was extremely interesting and extremely compelling. You know, the side characters, everyone's brought it up. Val Kilmer, Danny Trejo, you know, I'm not going to say all of them. Let me hit a few others. Amy Brenneman as Edie. Diane Venora. William Fichtner. You know, Tom Noonan. There's just a lot of side characters. Leland Stottlemyre. Okay, for those of you who don't watch Monk, it's Ted Levine, also known as Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. He basically is playing the same character he ends up playing for 8 seasons on the television show Monk as a cop named Bosco. To pretty much get the idea of Captain Leland Stottlemyre, who is his character on Monk, imagine Bosco who is promoted just a touch and dealing with Monk. And, you know, I just really enjoyed. I had to double take when I saw Jeremy Piven. That one really caught me off guard. And, you know, everyone's talked about it. It's a great heist film. It's got that great shootout in the middle. So I'm going to have to rag on it a bit. Because the thing is, as good as it is, I think it's got problems. And they're not really serious problems. They're just problems that, for me, they take away from the film a bit. And I don't like seeing a film like this kind of just trip up a bit, you know? And it's hard because it could have been just a little bit tighter. And I think it would have been better served from making just a few very small cuts. This is my biggest issue. The focus of this film is clearly on Pacino's character, De Niro's character, how the two are trying to play off each other because they're diametrically opposed forces in this conflict. And we're also focusing on how they handle their personal lives. That's perfectly fine. That is clearly the focus of the film. The problem is when it comes to Val Kilmer's character, when it comes to Tom Sizemore's character, when it comes to Danny Trejo's character, when it comes to Dennis Haysbert. He was on the show The Unit, and he was the president for a little while in the show 24. But this is the thing with it. As the heist is going down, they want us to feel very sympathetic that this group is getting taken down bit by bit, and they want us to feel sympathetic toward a lot of these characters. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting us to feel sympathetic for the group. The issue is there's not enough focus on the group. The focus is so locked in to Pacino and De Niro. We get the major events that happen between Val Kilmer and Val Kilmer's wife in this movie. We get the major events that happen, but we only have one real establishing segment where the two are together and even argue. And beyond, we don't really see them have a very tight, loving relationship. We see them together, they argue, crap happens. And then we're supposed to buy this whole thing that Val Kilmer's character is so completely devoted to his family. And they didn't really establish that. They did even less with Tom Sizemore's character. We see his family once, and then when things start to go down, everyone's like, oh god, but you could just stay there. You've got a family that loves you, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, really? They do? I wouldn't have known. We get one scene with his family. Danny Trejo, we just get like a glimpse of his girlfriend, and then shit goes down with that. Danny Trejo was an afterthought in this film, let's just be honest. It's cool to see him, but he is pretty much an afterthought. And they tried to give us these establishing shots of Dennis Haybert's character, and, they try to give us this thing yeah, he's really trying to go straight after everything, but we just get these very few, very seemingly random scenes of him getting ragged on by his boss, and then 2 scenes with his girlfriend where she talks about how proud she is of him. Then she sees that he was involved with the bank heist. And that's pretty much it. I feel like for where the focus of this film really is, we didn't need that much stuff to try to be shoved in. And I say the same thing with Kevin Gage's character, Wayne Grow. It's like, they give us this thing where he's a serial killer? Was that really needed? Because you know what? It never actually... That is like the one major misstep in the film, is that doesn't actually come back in any way. Other than it plays a little bit into the development between Pacino and his wife at the time. So... yay? For me, it just felt like they were trying to add all this extraneous stuff that really wasn't needed, when they could have clipped a few things. Like, the Wayne Grow character is a necessary character, don't get me wrong. But you don't need to add the part where you establish that he's a serial murderer and rapist. You can just leave it at, this guy's got it in for De Niro's gang. Okay. And then, we establish that he's going to do them in. Okay, cool. That works perfectly fine. The other part is just making us hate him so that we hate him. Which... it's not really necessary if De Niro is sympathetic enough as a character. It's just a little bit excess stuff that either needed to be developed more and we should have gone to a full 4-hour movie length, or we needed to just cut them there and get down to 2.5 hours. That's just my opinion, but that's also pretty much the only negative I can find in this film. That and the blue screen that Susie previously mentioned. All of it was very well handled, and it was just a very fun watch. Check it out for yourself.
Okay, there is one thing about these types of movies that's always kind of got on my tits, and it's this. I don't know if you would even consider it a trope. I don't know if that would be an appropriate way to describe it, but the whole thing with Robert De Niro's character, it's no doubt that the guy's a bad man. He robs people. If need be, he will kill people. But at the end of the day, he wants love, he wants love, he wants someone to hug him and let him know it's gonna be okay. He wants somebody that he can suckle on their bosom and tell them that it's all gonna be alright. Okay, well, probably not in that drastic a tone, but here's the thing. I don't buy the whole killer with a heart of gold thing. I can respect the fact that as a professional criminal, you do have certain things you will not do. But that does not make you a criminal with a heart of gold. That just makes you a hitman that won't kill women and children. That just makes you a bank robber that won't steal from old ladies. This, in my opinion, puts you in a false sense of superiority to other people. It's like, yeah, sure, I assassinate people all the time, but I'm not gonna shoot this kid next to me. Heavens no, that's just sick. I cannot call bullshit big enough on that. That is my thing. Criminal with the heart of gold, bullshit.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they ever tried to make it sound like De Niro has a heart of gold. He's just human. He's just a human who decided he wanted to steal. I think the difference is that when it comes to it, professional criminals, you just gotta quote The Godfather. It's nothing personal, it's just business. And that's the thing, like, when it comes right down to it, as they view it, they put their lives on the line to make some money. The only way they know how, which is completely immoral. I'm not trying to justify the way they make money, but they have this ruthless streak. I mean, to me, it's almost on the same level as arguing, well, are they any better than the people who in a company will throw anybody under the bus in order to get promoted, who will steal anybody's idea just because they're doing something that is definitely immoral, or at least very morally ambiguous, because, as De Niro says in the film, they're stealing the bank's money, not the money of the people, because the people do have insurance. But it's just like, and at a certain point when you're a criminal, killing is just killing. It's just part of the business. I'm pretty sure after you go to jail, you don't think twice about it, because if you do, you just get screwed. Literally and figuratively speaking. I don't know. LC, Susie, do you have any thing to say about that?
Yeah, I do.
Of course you do.
The fucking writer of this film, how dare he try to make a complicated, three-dimensional character out of Robert De Niro's character? How dare he? I mean, you're right. Why did he have to have actually human being emotions and actually have human characteristics? He should have just been banged and bloodthirsty and just raping and pillaging everybody, because that would have made the whole film so much more wonderful.
No, what I'm saying is to put that type of thinking into a character that somehow makes them think that they're better than the other criminals, because, it's just like, oh, you'll do anything for whatever you gotta do. I won't.
See, this is what you're not understanding. The character is a professional robber. He doesn't want to kill people, but if it's between him and the job, he's gonna take you out. If it's between him getting caught or you having the chance to narc on him, he's gonna take care of the witnesses. It's not a moral thing, it's a part of the job. Professional criminals are kind of similar to professional soldiers. They have their own rules they have to live by to survive and to perform their job properly.
Yeah, but at what point do you begin making that distinction, though? That's the thing. At what point does it stop being a job, and when does it start being something that, I personally have a theory about something like this is almost is not the rule, but could be a very kind of almost in an addicting type thing. It's like you do one thing, then all of a sudden you have to do more of it in order to feel the same rush that you did when you just did the first one. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but
Yeah.
you're taking two criminal traits and mashing them together. You're taking what's considered a sociopath, a person who gets enjoyment out of killing people, versus somebody who just has as it being a negative part of the job. And that's what you're not understanding. It's just having to kill in that line of work is basically the difference between you or them. And it's not going to be me, so it has to be them. That's the mentality. They don't want to kill anybody. They just want to perform the job, get paid, and go home. But unfortunately, sometimes people don't cooperate, and they have to go to that extreme and kill kill people.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why they tried to make that distinction with De Niro's character and the character of his whole crew, and the Waingro character. Because
don't even get me started on Waingro. That guy. Oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah, that guy killed because he was, pretty much because he enjoyed it. The rest of them did not kill if they did not have to. A lot of that being because it just complicated the job. But I never got the sense that they enjoyed killing. It was just, that's what they had to do. If everything had gone perfectly, they would have just gotten out. And you are right about it being an addiction. They do address it with Tom Sizemore's character, who's more or less an adrenaline junkie, and he can't get the adrenaline of pulling off a heist any other way than pulling off a heist. And that's why he's still in the business. But that's different than being sociopathic. So, and as far as where the line is drawn, that varies from person to person. It's pretty much a matter of worth. When is it still worth it to push the limits? And I think part of the whole story arc of De Niro's character was that he was reaching a point where the heists weren't doing it for him anymore, and he, whatever empty part of his soul that Amy Brenneman's character filled is what he wanted going forward, because you saw him making plans the entire time.
Yeah, that part there was, in my opinion, the saddest part of all. It's it's one of those things where, he was so close at the end to just getting away and not having to deal with this anymore. And then, because he keeps saying throughout the movie, it's never get involved in something that you're not prepared to walk away from. So you got Al Pacino's character running right towards him, and De Niro is looking at his lady friend, and she's just could not be more confused. And he just walks away, and you gotta know that was tearing him up.
Exactly, and that's really the thing. They were trying to create this character who's complex. He really was never a killer with a heart of gold. He's just a bank robber who's at the end of his rope, tired of living a lifestyle where, as he says, don't get involved in anything you can't pick up and leave within 30 seconds. And he got tired of that, and just as everything was about to go right, this guy from his past, this loose end he didn't clean up, named Waingro, comes back and wrecks the entire thing.
This is also an example of kind of lazy writing, because in any other situation, if anybody saw Waingro do what he did in the beginning, my way of thinking would have been to just kill him right then and there and would have been done with it. But the fact that they didn't, because in the beginning
This wasn't lazy writing.
Yes,
Keep in mind, De Niro's character wasn't there for the heist at the very beginning. He wasn't there physically.
No. Let me say something, because if you're doing something as coordinated as and complicated as a robbery of that magnitude that they did it in the beginning. You know, everything's got to go a certain way, and if one screw is loose in the entire thing, it's got to be tightened. He was a loose screw that had to be getting rid of, and he had to get rid of. It's like nobody had the foresight. It's like, oh, we should get rid of him now in case he comes back in the future. Like, no, it's like, you fucking idiot, bang, dead.
No, because
okay, hold on.
De Niro's character, who was the leader of the group who made all the calls, wasn't there when he went berserk.
But
they brought him in to take care of him later at the diner, but he escaped.
But there were at least 3 other people there.
But it's not their call to take another guy out. It was solely De Niro's character's call.
I will say this, when somebody guns
There's
down...
a hierarchy in these scenarios, and the guys who performed the heist did not have the authority to make the call to say, take this guy out. Only De Niro's character could.
I will say this, when somebody guns down an innocent person that clearly is disoriented and does not have a weapon drawn, I think at that point in time, it's like, kill him now, sort the shit out later.
Well, the thing was, he wasn't disoriented.
Yes, he was.
He was not disoriented. He was fully in control, which was made him even more dangerous.
No, the guard.
Tony's talking about the first guard that Waingro shot.
Yeah.
Not Waingro.
It still goes back to Waingro. He did the act.
Okay, hold on. We're getting way off track here. Tony's saying the guard that Waingro was shot was disoriented, and Waingro was being out of control. Let's try and get this back on track, because this could go back and forth for hours. Okay?
Okay.
Anyway.
Yep. But the thing was, Waingro wasn't... He wasn't going crazy. He was fully in control when he did it.
He was already crazy. There was no going.
But that's the point. That shows he's a psychopath. He was fully in control, fully thinking when what he did.
No, right. Psychopaths can still think. That doesn't mean what they think makes any sense.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you could still be delusional. You can be not right in the head and still think. It's not going to make any sense to anybody but you. That's the point I'm getting at.
Okay. Alright. Susie, do you have something you want to add to this?
Oh wait, here's something.
Alright, my only thing is, I agree with you in this much, Tony. I don't know why, if De Niro saw it, I don't know that De Niro saw it or didn't, he might not have, but I agree that I don't know why they didn't take him out there, because at that point in time, they already had a fair number of dead bodies, and they were going to burn the ambulance anyway. I don't know why when they got in there, they didn't just say, this guy's a loose cannon. Cannon whose motives were at the very least questionable, and say, okay, we're just gonna kill him, burn and go. But they did try to take care of him at the diner, and then a cop came along, they got a bit distracted, and he escaped. Shit happens. Maybe they wanted it to be in a more controlled environment. Maybe they were just like, okay, first priority is get out of here, then clean up loose ends. Who knows? I'm not entirely certain. But at the end of the day, that is that. Alright, that was a good round table. Everybody give yourself a golf clap.
Golf clap. Yes, we are awesome.
Alright, that was a fascinating round table. But we're going to head right into favorite scenes now. Tony, start us off.
Okay, I actually have 2 favorite scenes here. Both are spoiler-tastic, so I won't say too much. I will say my first favorite scene is the gun battle, like in the middle, because oh my god, it is like somewhere Michael Bay is watching this with a full erection, because he is just loving this scene, because it's just carnage and gunshots and things blowing up. It's just really awesome. Second scene, the entire ending of Al Pacino and Robert De Niro's characters, Al Pacino chasing Robert De Niro in the final in the last I think 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. It's like just such a 90s way to end it. It's fucking perfect.
Porn it! LC, you're up.
Well, when it comes down to my favorite scene, it has to be when Al Pacino's character was interrogating this guy, and he just kept screaming, ass! And literally overemphasizing ass, and screaming it, and the reason I love this scene was, one, it was funny, but also if you saw Al Pacino's eyes every time he screamed ass, his eyes were like bugging out of his fucking skull. It's absolutely hilarious to watch. And a fun little bit of trivia, it was actually a completely ad-lib scene by Al Pacino. And actually the actor's shocked and confused expression was legitimate because it was a fully ad-lib scene.
Always cool to see ad-lib.
Anytime I have to say, I can have the right to say ass in high expressivism. It's always a great scene for me.
It's LC. Anytime you get to swear is a good day.
Okay, I gotta stop myself from quoting it. Susie, what's your favorite scene?
Right, my favorite scene. Well, as well as having a favorite scene, I will give an honourable mention, because there's no way I can pass by this moment without saying something. And my honourable mention is when Al Pacino's character and Robert De Niro's character finally sit down in the same scene together in that cafe. You know, just describing their lives outside of like being a cop and being a criminal. And it's just almost as if they have been the best of friends all of their lives. They're just sitting there being all pally with each other, and then for a split second you actually forget that Al Pacino's after this guy. It's so weird, but it's it's really poignant at times in that scene, the way they bounce off of each other. It's really great. But my favourite scene is, again, it's when Al Pacino's character, Vincent Hanna, is told of a prostitute's murder that links back to Wayne Grove. And they discover that this black girl that's 16, that was just killed, and Hanna spots a group that are congregating around the crime scene, and he's wondering who they are. He asks one of the officers who's beside him, and he's told that they're the girl's family. And a moment later, after he's told this, the girl's mother runs under the police tape straight into Hanna, asking where her baby is, what's happening. She's really distraught. And to comfort the mother, Hanna just grabs her and pulls her in for a really poignant hug. And the scene is just really beautifully put together for me, with the build-up of finding out the girl's only 16, to having her family appear, and then once the mother goes over to Hanna and naturally breaks down, as a mother would in that situation, just the way the music swells, it creates a powerful and dramatic atmosphere for me that I found really powerful. It's the only powerful scene to me that really stuck out, apart from the ending that I'm not going to spoil. And it was just wow, really poignant scene. I loved it.
By the way, for some reason, even though he gets good billing here, we have completely neglected to mention Jon Voight's in this too, in a rather major role. So Jon Voight's in this too.
There you go, clap for Jon.
Yeah. Jon Voight's just kind of they're on to me. Okay, what you gotta do is just go here, do that, pay this guy, and then you'll be out of here. You know, it's just He's the one that sets up everything.
John Voight, fence extraordinaire with a John Voight mullet.
John Voight, father of Lara Croft.
I was just thinking that. I'm Angelina Jolie's father.
Okay, before we get too sidetracked, I'll talk about my favorite scene, and Susie stole my thunder. That's not a woohoo. You don't get paid this week.
She's happy about not getting paid. You're an odd one, Susie.
So, her honorable mention is actually my favorite scene. And I'm kind of surprised no one else went into this, but I mean, Susie felt, as Susie said, she felt that the point where Al Pacino's character was hugging that distraught mother was the most powerful scene. For me, it was watching De Niro and Pacino just interact. I mean, these are two powerhouses of acting. Not just for this generation, just in general. They are powerhouses of acting. They're great actors. And sometimes we forget that because they both get put into very samey roles. They kind of get typecast in certain roles.
And also they do meet the fuckers. But sorry. That still just pisses me off.
Well, everybody's allowed a few bad movies. Anyway, just to watch the two play off each other, and Susie mentioned it, they act like they're best friends, but that's because, like I said before, the two of them might as well be the same person. Even though they're on opposite sides of the law, they are pretty much the same person. Their single-mindedness in their drive, their unwillingness to change, their screwed up personal lives, all of it. They understand each other. They respect each other. In another world, they would even like each other. But in this time, in this situation, they both understand, well, I gotta come at you with everything I have, and what happens, happens. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but if I was one of them, I probably would have been very, very nervous, knowing that this guy's might take me out, but the two of them are just like, way it goes. Nothing personal. It's just business. And I don't know, the way it just played out was, for me, it was very powerful and a great scene to watch. Alright, so there's our favorite scenes. So, time for final scores. Tony, you know how we do it.
Alright. This was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I was not prepared for how long it was at first, but at the end of the day, like, I am no stranger to long movies myself, but I need to be prepared for it being, like, I went into The Hobbit knowing that it was going to be about 3 hours long, you know, so, I mean, shit like that is not a big deal. I would say to anybody that does watch this, be prepared for it to be about 3 hours, and you're good. But it's an excellent movie. Really, really fun to watch. I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Alright, LC, how about you?
Well, what can I say about this epic crossover of talent known as Heat? Other than the fact that it's a very, very long film, and yet again, I say, it does not feel like a 3-hour film, but overall, it's good. I mean, there's nothing really to critique. I mean, some snobbish person might go like this or that, or point out some very trivial thing, but overall, as a full film, it works perfectly. And I would have to honestly give it a 9 out of 10. But, for the simple fact that Joe fucking Pesci does not show up anywhere in this film, it gets a 1 out of 10.
Can you go one episode without fucking up the scores?
No, he can't. It's actually in his contract that he has to come up with an excuse. Susie, how about you?
Right, well, having never seen this film before, but strangely enough, fitting into my perfect ideal of the 90s action crime drama film, it was brilliant. There wasn't a lot to critique about it, but it pulled off a damn good job of what it did. I loved it. 8 out of 10. Move on.
Alright. As I said, this film is really, really good. Watch it. Don't give me your fucking excuses. Go watch that. Now then, that being said, it's not a perfect film. There are issues, and those issues for me are a little difficult to overlook, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. That makes it a 34 out of 40. Average 8.5 out of 10. We're going to round that up to a 9 out of 10 because that's my score, and fuck everyone else. So, 9 out of 10, it's a great film. Watch it, buy it, own it, love it. Love it in all those dirty ways you love things. Alright, now it's time for our favorite portion of the show, the guessing game. Can you figure out what our next movie is? Well, I'm going to do something a little special. Instead of just picking any random person who is associated with this film, we're going to limit it just down to the characters who are in Robert De Niro's gang. So, your options are Val Kilmer, Tom Sizemore, Dennis Haybert, Robert De Niro, and Danny Trejo. Alright, everybody have fun, leave a comment, and see if you can figure out what our next movie is. Bye-bye!
Things you wanted for yourself, teenage ambitions you remember well. It was the heat of the moment, telling you what you meant. The heat of the moment showed in your eyes.
Why is Wolverine getting a 7th movie?
Because it's Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Enough said.
Enough to save X-Men Origins.
It's Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Enough said.
Yes, he's writing those paychecks as long as he can.
Given time, Susie, there will be a Wolverine the musical starring Hugh Jackman. And Susie.
There was. He won a Tony for it.
And I think Susie just had an orgasm.
He's in my list. He sings, he acts. He's Australian. I'm sorry, honey butt.
I'll just say, there was a Wolverine musical. I believe Hugh Jackman won a Tony Award for it.
That was the boy in Oz or something. Or Oklahoma. He won awards for those as well.
I just remember he was like a gay showroom singer or something.
The boy from Oz. That's it. That's the one.
He was wearing a lot of tight and pink. It was very pink and very tight.
The boy from Oz is about a gay showroom singer. Like what?
I can't remember who he's paying tribute to right now. It's a celebrity. I thought it was Elton John at first.
Liberace?
No, it's not Liverfucking-achi. You notice I'm in the house alone. I can start screaming at the top of my lungs and it's not waiting for
Yes, I've noticed you're being quite a bit louder today.
Yeah, my dad was getting his first eye operation today. That went successfully.
Oh, good.
Hey.
Glad to hear it.
So he can see out of one eye at the moment, and they're in the city tonight, and they're coming back tomorrow afternoon. So I'm puppy sitting.
Oh.
And then.
Well, Susie, to be fair, you're always puppy sitting.
I know. My wife is just fucking dog. Boo, I love you, darling, but oh.
He is your dog, ergo you will always be puppy sitting.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. I just had a terrible idea for how we could open this up.
I was gonna say, Ryan, do you need a cigarette now too? Oh! Oh, guys, did you hear that Tommy Wiseau is doing a re-release of The Room in 3D?
Yeah. Well, look at it this way: it's probably his revenge on the audience for throwing all those spoons at him.
So, look at it this way: not only do you get to see him fuck Lisa's belly button in 3D now,
Oh, Jesus.
but you also get to see Tommy Wiseau's giant white ass on the big screen in 3D.
But on the plus side, we also get to see him blow his fucking brains out in 3D.
Well, yeah, there is that. You get to see horrible green screen effects in 3D. Speaking of horrible green screen effects, let's talk about Heat.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who was picking on the green screen a bit.
Fucking real?
Yeah. Oh my god, that was bad at points.
The Room had better green screen effects.
Never mind. Moving along.
Ryan, we have put the squirrel image on you so much, you've actually developed a squirrel brain. You're thinking so far ahead. Oh my god, I must do this, and then.
Squirrel!
Well,
no, don't say that for the love of God. The puppy's
No,
right
it's like,
next to.
gotta do this, gotta do this. Did I leave the gas on?
I knew you'd fucking say that.
It's like okay, guys, listen. Okay, for the heat of the night, we'll use the one for the heat of the night. Oh, look at the kitty.
Okay, guys. Okay, let's be honest here, though.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. I had a squirrel brain to begin with. That's why I got the squirrel image. Or did you forget the whole? Holy crap! Is that a chicken?
Oh Jesus!
Oh, that was one of the still greatest bloopers ever.
I'm gonna do a top 10 list.
To edit that into like a song.
Tony, are you okay? I think you might have looked at the link.
What do you laugh like a big black woman? No, I'm not being racist, right? Look at
the fucking link!
I've seen that all week on Facebook. What the fuck? Who the hell needs alcohol?
I don't. This is me sober, bitches.
I'm just thinking that lady really thought ahead for the prostitution. John stand on this side. Oh, stand on that side. Stand up, form a line across the cocks. We'll take care of you one by one.
Boys on the right, girls on the left.
Oh God. Alright guys, you want to do the round table?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'd like to request a rectangular table today.
Well, Susie, I'm afraid.
I demand an octagon table. Because stop signs are the only way I can maintain my erection.
Alright, we've got our blooper for the night.
That was fantastic.
That's what I do.
I maintain. I can't do it. That was.
I demand an octagon table. For that's the only way I can maintain my erection.
It's very Monty Python when you do it that way.
Oh Lord! Bless this thy holy hand grenade that might blow thine enemies to tiny bits.
Okay, back.
Alright. Let's do round table before we go too much farther. We may... Okay, let's do the round table. Since you came up with it, do you want to start us off, Tony?
Sure.
Okay.
What are we doing again?
Round table.
Oh, right, okay. What are we talking about?
Killers with a conscience.
Oh, okay, sorry. Right.
It's your idea! Don't make me get the belt again!
I'm ooh. Oh, damn. Oh, but,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have the have the base to do that.
Go ahead, man.
Alright.
Right, Boo, you're quite comfy there. You stop licking my feet. Okay, right.
Oh, you're on one end, I'm on the other.
No, he likes to randomly, when he wakes up, slither off the couch. He doesn't even jump off the couch. He slithers like a snake. He scratches his...
He just looks at Susie, his eyes go all fucking trippy, he just goes, trust me.
He does, he slithers off the couch. And he like drags his willy across the couch and then slides in under the floor and then looks at me. It's like, you made me move. It's like, you moved yourself. And then he jumps up 30 seconds later.
In all fairness, I do the same thing.
No, you do not!
Okay, I came in, I dragged his willy across the floor.
And who do you think I was talking about?
Please tell me it was Boo.
Yes, it was Boo.
Please tell me that's still recording.
It is.
That's the blooper of the week.
I don't know, it's hard to beat the one Tony did earlier. I must have an octagon table.
I have an octagon table. Well, that is the only way I can maintain an erection. But anyways.
That's up there with holy shit, it's a chicken. It's not quite at that level, but it's up there.
No, because holy shit, it's a chicken just came out of nowhere. I think we were having a discussion, and then next you know, it was just like, holy shit, there's a chicken.
It was during Brian's review of something. He was just, holy shit, it's a chicken. What